Alright guys, welcome back to the Warchief Club 20, and we've got Divine DFP here in the purple trunks, spawning as the HRE. And he's up against Give You Anxiety in the blue trunks, up here on the right hand side as the Rus. It's a nice spot for the hunting cabin because there's minimal walking distance to the berries, and I mean you can always put a hunting cabin on the other side if he needs to. A great farm placement later on. He's got all this wood. It's going to contribute towards gold trickle for him. Not a lot of sheep on this map, I find. And they are mostly confined to the sides of the map. There are a handful of stragglers sort of along the sides of the hill. A couple even there towards the centre. HRE player going to be able to empower the food and the gold pretty easily, but probably not really going to bother empowering wood, considering tree line placement. Considering the fact that there's no water as well, so there's sort of no reason for the HRE player to want to empower anything other than food and maybe the gold slightly. So pretty impressive matchup today. We got DFP, who's really made a name for himself in AoE4. Give You Anxiety, who's an Age of Empires Online and Age of Empires 3 player prior to picking up AoE4. Both extremely notable AoE4 players. Yeah, that's some nice gold trickle there for GUA. Basically a third of a relic. It'll pay for itself quite quickly. So DFP is going to start in the wood. It's a bit of a walk time there. I don't know why I didn't just put it straight out that way. It's a little bit longer walk time going towards the back over there. But yeah, I don't know why I didn't just go for here. I suppose it makes it a bit easier to defend. But DFP picking that up is going to rob GUA of quite a bit of gold. He's up to 165 through the bounty system. And GUA going to actually harass the wood line rather than the gold mine. I mean, it's just as protected, so he might as well. DFP actually bringing his pellet forward to get the empower off there. Back at home, GUA just working towards age 2, and he's going to get a couple of wolves, so he will get past 200 gold. I don't think he'll be quite at 250 yet, so he'll be eager to try and get to that if he can, but it looks like all the hunts have been cleared now. 230, so he must have picked up another wolf somewhere. Going to bring back some more sheep, so he should be able to get to 250 actually, which would be nice. Gives that 10% food gather rate steroid. He's going to need it considering this Arch and Chapel is going to empower everything for the HRE player. And that'll be an insane 40% gather rate and drop off bonus. These pellets, they can empower up to about 10 villages or 11, I think. Without any form of like bugging through the cooldown and the cast animation. But then the Arch and Chapel basically lifts that and gives them an entire radius of permanent boost for the one that's garrisoned in the chapel. So everything around that will be insane gathering. Now that it's a drop-off point as well, people use it like a big mill. So you can put it right in the berries, like he's done, and actually boost quite a lot of resources. So cover the gold mine, the wood, especially as he works towards this side, and yeah, any early food there for DFP. It's an insane food steroid. Now GUA has killed all his sheep, and good of him to pick them all off like that because it'll give him the gather rate benefit while this is going on. A lot of players tend to neglect that. They'll get fuckloads of sheep back at home as Rus, and they'll only need 20 to 30 gold to actually get to the next tier, and they won't bother killing all the sheep. So big ups to GUA for doing that. Very very experienced player, so he's got quite a lot of game knowledge. He's quite a solid player mechanically, so using that to his advantage. So GUA, I'm going to try and wall off everything here from DFP. He's trying to wall himself in safely. And GUA actually going to look at trying to pinch all this outlying food off his opponent. Both these hunts for DFP are on this side of his base, so his opponent holding onto this and actually possibly even gathering them, as well as, you know, setting up a forward base here. Be really quite strong. DFP sort of going to have to rely on working his way up the hill now, but he might just be content working towards a quick castle age for the minute. I mean, it's something that every HRE player has up their sleeves. It's such a nice civ for being able to just beeline castle age tech and being able to take advantage of either a rush or a macro and expansive landmark behind it. It's a little bit the same though, considering they'll generally beeline the Golden Gate in age 2 for the... Ooh, and GUA losing a scout there. Don't think he realised just how dangerously placed that one was. It's a bit of a scouting misplay there from GUA. DFP, yeah, content to sit at home. Like I said, he's even going to start using this Archon Chapel as one big mill. He already has a mill though, because he needs to be able to get wheelbarrow. And it also lets him throw up a couple more farms around it later on. He's actually okay with GUA just walling him in and occupying 90% of the map. I think GUA's wall off is quite to the edge there, is it? No, it must be. So GUA, you know what his plan here is at the minute. Whether he goes for his second town centre or goes for a quick age 3, because the HRE player with their quick age 3, which DFP is not far off at all, he just needs a little bit more food. There we go, throwing it up now. So Burgrave Palace will actually have a very rushy follow-up here. He's getting a market too, so he can trade between his resources as he needs. There's no actual place to send traders to, so yeah, it's purely just to shuffle eco if he needs. Because yeah, it looks like GUA gonna pinch all this food, and DFP's Burgrave Palace, which is 5 barracks in one, gonna be up against some ranges and stables. So those 3 production facilities are actually going to be more than offset as soon as this finishes. DFP is actually going to have a slight production lead over his opponent. GUA already has a few knights out in the field, and they're going to be quite good against man-at-arms, which are instantly upgraded there by DFP. But they're not going to do so well against spears or any follow-up crossbows or knights of DFPs, because GUA is still stuck in age 2 for the minute. Yeah, and there is a slight gap there. Man-at-arms in production. Some extra damage incoming, so they'll have increased extra damage against heavy armored targets, which makes the HRE man-at-arms actually deal quite favourable damage against the knights once they've got their charge off. Unlike the English knights, man-at-arms, who focus more on defensive stats, which allows them to sort of survive against the charge, but they don't really quite get the opportunity to just murder knights as they stick around the fight. This heavy mace is just going to be huge. Looks like GUA is trying to whittle down these man-at-arms as best as he can, but he doesn't want to over-invest in the archers because he's going to want to try and get his own H3. He's going to want to try and get either his own man-at-arms or mangonels or upgraded knights. His early knights are only going to do so much against man-at-arms who are now up and aged in terms of upgrades on them. So GUA's bowman really going to take forever to get the man-at-arms down. While this is going on, GUA going to get one of the boar. He's got the hunting cabin. He could have actually placed it over this side and gotten slightly more wood gen, but I don't think he's too worried. He's managing to really steal a lot of the food from his opponent. And DFP having to play extremely defensively for the minute. Knight's looking to try and get the charge off, while the man-at-arms with their heavy maces, exceptionally good against heavy units. Well, the Knights goes down there. The archers being brought in to try and deal a bit of damage. They're also not going to be all that great against such a heavy armored target. Now Spear's in the mix for DFP, and GUA's going to have to get out of here. He is trying to do what damage he can with the archers. One or two of the archers going down there. Now with the Knights into support, they can get a charge off. But a few of them also going down, so DFP's defended really well with the quick Burgrave opening here. GUA applying some solid pressure, and these walls are allowing him to eco up behind this really well. A lot of the score difference is really down to the fact that DFP has that age up over him. Fill pops are even at the moment, and total pops are still even. GUA quick on the micro again to start getting some shots off as soon as his opponent looks at disengaging. So DFP not going to lose anything there, and the Prelate's going to slowly be able to heal everything through this anyway. What does GUA do from here? He's continuing to add some more stables. He's still content with sitting in H2. He's trying to creep forward with the archers, but not getting a lot of luck because DFP's eco is pretty safe on the other side of the town centre. GUA walling himself in just in case his opponent either breaks through this first layer of walls or he gets surrounded. Looks like he needs to get quickly onto repairing this palisade once again, because DFP's back at it again with the man-at-arms. So melee units in general quite solid against structures compared to ranged, and these guys able to really absorb the fortress fire. GUA focusing down spearmen for the most part, because the bowmen going to do wicked damage against them, even though they're pretty trashy against the man-at-arms. And this at least lets the Knights get some solid charges off without just getting skewered. One of the villagers being picked off though, GUA is going to have to bring villagers around to repair this. They're just going to lose that first segment of wall. They're pushing with the bowmen right now. They're running past DFP's town centre. It's probably not the best of ideas because it will pick off a couple of the bowmen for his trouble. 3 of the archers going down there. Now GUA safely behind the walls once again. Still sitting in H2. He's got ranged and melee damage and melee armor, so all very useful upgrades for him to have at this point. DFP, meanwhile, has got ranged armor, H2 and 3, melee damage, H2 kicking in. No melee armor of his own, but there's only fairly minimal knights overall, really. GUA's really invested in archers. Eco size slightly favouring GUA at 44 to 43 Vils, but most of this eco is under the Archon Chapel for DFP, so he's generating some insane value out of that. GUA's had a couple more villagers up, busy repairing. He needs to actually get this guy back to work on this wall, because this palisade gate is about to go down. And GUA is actually going to have to send his knights in. A little bit slow on the repair there for GUA. That may come back to bite him. Because now DFP is free. And with an insane mass of these man-at-arms. He's got the other damage upgrade for them. The general one, which will also benefit their attacks against the archers. You're really going to struggle to pick them off. So GUA trying to control, get the last couple of shots off. DFP pushing up everything he's got for the minute. He's going to bring everything forward. He wants to grab this center sacred site, so he's actually got not enough stone yet for a keep, but he'll have enough by the time he gets there. So DFP's keeping up for sure. GUA needs to get these guys back to work here. Try and wall off that segment again, which he will do. DFP's not really struggling for food at all. I mean, with the empowered villagers on the farms, he's going great for the minute. Doesn't even got horticulture, but he can just look at fitting that in soon now that he's got some more gold under his control. He's not been able to grab any relics because of GUA's wall ups. He hasn't got a monastery at all. Prelate being picked off. So that sacred site not going to be converted anytime soon, but DFP is pretty safe to get that gold, which is pretty useful for him because he's run out of it at home. In fact, DFP would have had to spend the last of his gold to actually get the stone, to get the keep, to start getting more gold. So it's a bit clutch of him to pull this off through the pressure. GUA's really stuck it to him in the early game here. Well, like I said, GUA actually getting the cabin next to the other one. These knights are going to do well with their charge and their numbers against small numbers of man-at-arms. But there's plenty of them coming in to raid GUA's base. And these archers are going to be quite useless against that. GUA has now spent quite a considerable amount of time in Age 2. He's really probably needed to transition to Age 3 behind this before this push has been mounted by DFP, because now, well, DFP is going to be approaching Sacred Victory and really pressuring his opponent with stacks of man-at-arms running in every direction through his base. GUA all behind on the Vil count now, 46 to 51, 45 to 52, so it's really starting to open up. Archers are just going to find that they're basically throwing toothpicks at their opponent at this point. Man-at-arms, plenty of ranged armor now too. So GUA's got to find a way to transition to lots of crossbows and get upgraded knights, or get mangonels out and something to protect them with. But I don't know if DFP is going to let him get there. He's just murdering his economy from here. It's 53 to 37 in terms of the villager counts. More of them going to fall here for GUA as well. DFP not even worrying about collecting relics just yet, just dealing as much economic damage to his opponent as he can, and it's really paying a dividend. GUA's starting to get a bit resource starved now, falling to that 30 Vil count. Plenty of protected Vils inside here, but eventually there's going to be no more there for them to collect. And DFP is going to start snatching up relics, defending them with that keep. More archers fleeing for their lives, and GUA's not been able to stabilize here. So I think DFP may have done it. Last of the archers being finished off there. GUA finding he's not able to gather safely at home. Down 26 villagers now, and GG, DFP takes the game.